If you need further proof that Disney have actually pushed away their entire core audience, they had the 3 biggest bombs in all of 2022. Now, 2 of them, they fully financed and everything, and they took the entire L. One of them, they only did the distribution for that. Now, Sony also ends up in the top 5 as well. I believe Paramount as well. They only had 1 entry into the top 5 worst bombs of 2022. Disney takes the entire top 3 spots. What more proof do you need that Disney has absolutely lost touch with their core audience? People are being laid off again today. I'm going to talk about that later here in the week when we have a little bit more information, but you reap what you sow. You turn everyone off to your product. The people that have been with you for decades upon decades, tell them, we're not interested in entertaining you anymore. We're going to go find that better audience. Kind of like what Marvel and DC are doing, but on a much larger scale. And guess what? They listen to you and they say, you know what? Sayonara. I guess I'll just find my entertainment somewhere else. Like, I don't know, Illumination, who are absolutely eating Disney's lunch when it comes to children's entertainment these days. 2 of these enormous bombs were animated features, something we really couldn't have conceived of even 5 or 10 years ago. Yes, Disney has had some bombs in the past, but they were anomalies. Every once in a while, you would have a Treasure Planet or a Mars Needs Moms or something stupid like that didn't really hit with the audience. But for the most part, Disney were absolutely bulletproof. That is not the case anymore. And let's run down the top 3 biggest losers of 2022 and Disney's part to play in that. Number 3, we have Lightyear. One would think an extension of the Toy Story franchise, a spinoff about Buzz Lightyear, would be a surefire win, but devoted fans were not thrilled that Tim Allen wasn't doing the voiceover. Chris Evans actually took over, not to mention their issues with the movie taking liberties with Toy Story canon. The $50.5 million domestic start wasn't going to get Lightyear to the moon at the summer box office, also potentially impacting grosses. Former moviegoers getting too comfortable with seeing Pixar movies at home on Disney Plus after seeing Soul and Turning Red went straight to the service. Per CEO Bob Iger, Disney is returning to the regular Toy Story franchise with the 5th one, and with an A- cinema score, Lightyear had the lowest grade to date for a Toy Story movie. Critical reception fell from the typical 90% plus on Rotten Tomatoes to 74% on Lightyear for a total loss of $106 million. How you can actually turn off a fan base that was so devoted to the product as Toy Story is just beyond me. Why did we need a Lightyear movie? We didn't. Why did we need a 4th Toy Story movie after the perfect ending that was Toy Story 3? We didn't need that either, but it still made money because Disney actually didn't go out of their way to just go out there and piss fans off. I knew 2 things about Lightyear when it was coming out. 1, Tim Allen was not returning as the voice of Buzz Lightyear. And number 2, there was a same-sex kiss or something like that. That is literally the only buzz Disney was able to generate regarding the Lightyear movie itself. Why do we need a standalone Lightyear movie made for theaters about the character that the toy is based off of in the movie universe? The concept itself is stupid, and it already actually been done before. Disney has already made a Buzz Lightyear cartoon series that essentially was the cartoon series that the character was based off already, except they released it straight to video because it wasn't a story that necessitated a budget that would necessitate a theatrical run for the film. Letting Tim Allen go, what was the point? He is Buzz Lightyear. I know you think he's just a toy, but people associate Tim Allen with Buzz Lightyear. I know everyone thinks Chris Evans like a big star or something because he played Captain America, and certainly Captain America made a lot of money on his first 2 movies. And then the 3rd one was more of an Avengers movie, and obviously he was in the Avengers movies themselves. But what else has Chris Evans ever really done that's made money? Like nothing. Fantastic Four absolutely sucked. I kind of like The Losers. I believe that one's also based on a comic book. That was pretty good, but the guy isn't like a box office star. Why would you replace somebody that's actually made buku bucks at the box office on his own, Tim Allen, with Chris Evans, who's a perfectly fine action star or whatever? You know, I like some of his movies, but he's certainly not a movie star. He's just another guy. And then obviously the big headline being, well, we're going to have a same-sex kiss and the movie's being outlawed. You better go support it for LGBTQ rights. It's a movie designed and aimed at 5 to 12-year-olds. They don't really care about that stuff. Their parents might care, and if anything, it was just going to piss them off. Disney got exactly what they deserved, an enormous box office flop with Lightyear, losing over $100 million, and they all of that one. one that they didn't eat all of, but they had a part to play and comes in at number 2, Amsterdam. This new Regency financed film had to shift its planned production from Boston to LA due to COVID, despite California tax credits to the tune of $2.5 million. And the period nature of the film, the budget shot up from $50 million to $80 million. The pick also featured a massive all-star cast, including Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, John David Washington, Taylor Swift, Chris Rock, Anya Taylor-Joy, Rami Malek, and Robert De Niro, to name a few. Bale got paid under his normal rate of $5 million, while other stars showed up to play with filmmaker David O. Russell, opting for lower paid checks. That said, way too much spend for an early World War I era set absurdist ensemble comedy that had zero draw. Those are the words of Variety, not me. While the intent was to make another American Hustle here, Amsterdam did not have the title 70s hipness, camp, and mobster hijinks. New Regency is the big loser here financially, as it merely has a distribution deal with Disney. Still, the financier is known for getting behind auteurs' visions that do have a history of paying off blockbuster and award-wise, including the $533 million global grossing The Revenant, which won 3 Oscars. Total loss for Amsterdam, $108.4 million. Obviously, not all of that can be blamed on Disney, but they did have a part to play in it because they were the distribution arm of that movie. And where the hell was George Clooney? Like, he's the guy that makes those movies. And normally they come in with like a budget between $25 and $30 million. Why would you spend $80 million to make an absurdist comedy piece set in World War I? Then they talk about, well, The Revenant made a $500 million. It's like, The Revenant had Leonardo DiCaprio fighting a fucking bear. That's actually pretty cool. Like, how could you even compare the two? Like, there's pretty big excitement seeing The Revenant. I know I wanted to see it. I saw it twice in the theater. I didn't even know Amsterdam came out. Why do they keep doing these weird period, like, comedy movies in World War I? They don't even make war movies about World War I anymore because they never make any money. And if you want to draw war movie fans, you actually have to have war stuff. I don't want hijinks. I want to see bombings and historically accurate events and like a big, dramatic moment where the heroes went out in the end. So it's like the movie from nobody. Why would you spend $80 million on it? That's just fucking stupid, but whatever. Not all Disney's fault, by the way. Regency played a big part to do with that. They're the ones that greenlit it. They thought this was The Revenant. You throw Leo fighting a bear in this movie and people want to go see it. Otherwise, who gives a crap? I know you've all been waiting for the number one biggest loser of 2022. I think you probably all figured it out by now. If it's Disney and it's an enormous loser, it is number one, Strange World. It's not enough to say that original animation is a challenge at the box office when it comes to Strange World's failure. The movie centered on a family of explorers, the Clades, as they attempt to navigate an uncharted, treacherous land alongside a motley crew that includes a mischievous blob, a 3-legged dog, and a slew of ravenous creatures. Some might say Disney's embrace of a gay character in the film turned off red state audiences, while critics found the fantasy pick to be too clunky and incomprehensible, and the animation retro and stale. Disney nonetheless supported the movie with a full theatrical release and dated it during their traditional 5-day Thanksgiving launch pad, where it saw a record low start for a Disney animation title during that time frame with $18.8 million. Disney knew the goods were soured and had Strange World on Disney Plus a month later. Disney has done better in their first go-arounds with original IP and Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia. However, one thing is clear, post-pandemic, it is getting whipped at the box office by Illumination with Minions Rise of Gru and the Super Mario Brothers movie. Total loss, a staggering $197.4 million. You guys lost $200 million? No wonder everyone's being fired today. That is really stupid. How do you actually pull this one off? Like, I can imagine whoever wrote the script or came up with the concept went to Disney. They're like, we would really like to do this movie. We want a family adventure, where there's conflict between the son and the dad and his dad. And, they're going to work it all at the end. It's going to have like a climate change message to it. And then the lady at Disney was like, but what's the sexual orientation of the character? Well, the kid's only like 14 years old and, it's aimed at like, 5 to 10-year-olds. We're not really going to go into that. We here at Disney don't believe that it would be fair to our audience if you didn't explore the sexual representation of the character within a film like this. Like, we're really trying to change the hearts and minds of 5-year-olds. And obviously they turned off the entire family concept of family movie going for Disney films in the process. What did they think was going to happen? Not to mention that the entire script just absolutely blows. It was so bad. I took my son to this because we couldn't go see Black Adam. It had stopped literally the day before we went to go to the theater. It stopped playing and they put on Strange World. So I took my son to go see it. My goodness, what a mistake that was. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure the next time we go to the movie theater, it's going to be the Edge of Spider-Verse, whatever that Sony movie is with Miles Morales. That's going to be the one that's in the theater. And I'll be taking to see that. Hopefully it won't be nearly as bad as Strange World. That first Spider-Verse movie actually had a pretty decent plot to it. Now, I don't like the animation in that movie either. It actually almost gave me a seizure, which certainly Strange World didn't do. It just didn't look good. I'm so tired of all these lame-ass, cheap 3D animated movies. The concept isn't cool anymore. If you're going to do actual human characters, just do them 2D like they did back in the day. The movies look better. They felt more vibrant. And there was always like good music and stuff too. They hardly even do any musicals anymore. I think the only one they do anymore is Frozen. Why doesn't Strange World have an Elton John song or something like that? Something cool, you know? They expected to make hundreds of millions of dollars. They lost $200 million in the process. And in a total, just on the top three there, we know Disney lost a cool $300 million on the two projects, probably lost a little bit more on the distribution deal with Amsterdam as well, because Disney is not a solid brand anymore. They've lost their core audience. The family has turned their back on Disney because Disney has turned their back on the family themselves. Who has taken their place? It's actually Illumination. It's Universal. And it's the Super Mario Brothers who absolutely ate Disney's lunch and showed them how it's done. If you haven't seen this video, you need to check it out right now. There's also a link in the video description.